My name is Michael. I'm 10 years old, and tonight my parents left me home alone for the first time. They went to a party at their friend's house, and although I was a bit nervous, the prospect of an entire evening without supervision was too tempting to pass up. "You know what to do if something happens," Mom said, kissing me on the forehead. "We'll be home by morning. Don't forget to lock the doors and don't open them for anyone." "Of course, Mom," I replied, hoping my voice sounded more confident than I felt. The door closed, and the house filled with silence. I stood up and, as instructed, carefully checked all the locks. I crawled under the couch and took out a flashlight, just in case the power went out. Then I returned to my game, trying not to pay attention to the slight chill that ran down my spine. An hour passed unnoticed when suddenly the doorbell rang. I tensed. Mom had clearly said no one should come. I tiptoed to the door and looked through the peephole. No one. Maybe it was my imagination, I thought aloud. I returned to the living room, but barely had I sat on the couch when the doorbell rang again. My heart pounded. I went back to the door, this time grabbing the flashlight. "Who is it?" I shouted, trying to keep my voice from trembling. There was no answer, but something in the silence made me feel uneasy. I went to the kitchen where I had left my cell phone and dialed Mom's number. No response. The signal was unavailable. The doorbell stopped ringing, but now other sounds filled the house, creaks and rustles. I decided to check all the rooms to make sure no one was there. I turned on all the lights and made sure the windows were locked. However, returning to the living room, I noticed one of the window locks was slightly open. My heart tightened with fear. I knew I had locked all the windows. I cautiously approached the window and closed it, listening for any sound. At that moment, I heard a faint knock from the basement. The basement had always been the creepiest place in the house. Even during the day, I didn't like going down there, but now, at night, with unfamiliar sounds coming from it, the basement seemed even scarier. But something about that knocking wouldn't let me be. I took the flashlight and decided to go down. Each step echoed in the silence, and my heart beat faster and faster. The flashlight illuminated a narrow beam of light that danced on the walls, as if something was hiding in the shadows. When I reached the basement, my attention was drawn to an old cupboard in the corner. I slowly approached it, and the knocking grew louder. With a trembling hand, I opened the cupboard door and found nothing. Maybe rats? I thought, feeling both relieved and disappointed. I returned to the living room, feeling foolish for my fear. I sat on the couch and turned my game back on, trying to forget about all the sounds and strangeness of the night. But then something strange happened. The TV screen flickered and then went out. I tried turning it on again, but nothing worked. Suddenly, all the lights in the house went out, leaving me in complete darkness. I heard footsteps. This time they were distinct and approaching the living room. I tried to remember where I had left the flashlight and began to panic. The footsteps grew closer. At the last moment, I found the flashlight and turned it on. The beam of light fell on a figure standing in the doorway. It was a tall man in a hood, his face hidden in shadow. "Who are you? What do you want?" I shouted, trying to sound braver than I felt. The stranger said nothing but began to approach slowly. I backed away, trying to find an escape route. The figure stopped by the couch and extended a hand. In the light of the flashlight, I saw it was not a knife but a photograph. "What is this?" I asked, feeling my fear give way to curiosity. The stranger silently handed me the photograph, and I, overcoming my fear, took it. The picture showed my family, but with one peculiar detail. All the faces were cut out. I felt cold sweat on my forehead. I understood this couldn't be a prank. The figure still stood before me, unmoving and silent. "Why are you here?" I asked again, but heard only silence in response. Then the stranger abruptly turned and headed for the exit. Despite my fear, I followed him, but when I reached the door, I found the stranger had vanished. I knew I needed to contact the police. I returned to the kitchen for the phone, but it was still out of service. I tried to remember how to use the old landline phone in the hallway. With trembling hands, I dialed 911. After a few rings, someone finally answered. "Police, what is your emergency?" "Help. Someone was in my house. He left a strange photograph. Please come quickly." The operator took all the necessary information and promised to send a patrol. I hung up and realized I had to keep myself together until the police arrived. The police arrived 20 minutes later, which felt like an eternity. The officers searched the house, but found no one. They took the photograph as evidence, promising to look into it. My parents returned home early in the morning. I told them about the night's events, and although they tried to comfort me, their faces showed they were scared too. The next few days were filled with tension and worry, but nothing strange happened. Still, I knew that night would stay with me forever. Months passed and life returned to normal. But one day, when I had almost forgotten about that terrifying night, I found a new photograph under my pillow. This time, the picture was of my face cut out from the family photo with the words, "We will return." Now I knew. The fears of that night were only the beginning.